Good evening, and welcome to the Impact Show. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, we have got news for you. What we're going to be doing in tonight's show is we're going to be looking at predictions for 2021 as it pertains to property. Now, guys, what I want you to do is make sure you say hi in the chat. If you're new to the show, if this is your first time on the Impact Properties Investing Show, what I want you guys to do is just write the word new in the chat so we know that you're absolutely brand new to this environment. Secondarily, I'm going to say this again, secondarily, if you guys can hear me, if you've got any issues hearing me, let me know, let me know in the chat if you've got any issues hearing me. You should be able to hear me fine. You should be able to see me fine. All right, but we got a jam-packed show for tonight. I pray that you guys are all doing well, especially in this current climate. Obviously, the UK has recently opened up after its second lockdown, and I know there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now in the world with a lot of talk around vaccinations and vaccines, etc., etc. So, guys, let me know how you are coping in the current climate. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat. All right, so this is the Impact Property Show, guys, the place where you can get creative property investing on demand. And this show has been created for you. Tonight is episode 35. Yes, I said it, episode 35. I'm actually surprised myself how we got this far. But this is how things happen, guys. This is exactly how things happen. And again, the show was created for you. So first and foremost, a great big welcome to the Impact Property Show. Every single person who's decided to tune in, feel free to say hi. It's great to have you guys on the show. And those of you who are watching on the replay, feel free to jump in the comments below and still say hi, even if you do not catch this whilst it is live. Now, tonight is episode 35, and the reason we're here, just very simply for those of you who do not know, is because months back when the pandemic in March first started, we had people in our property environment who were reaching out and basically saying they didn't know what to do as it pertains to property. They didn't know how to maneuver, what to do, who to connect with, how to get things done in order to succeed in their property journey in that particular climate. So I had a number of people reaching out to me. I had clients reaching out to me. I had students reaching out to me, both those who I coach as well as other things as well. Now, with all of those things happening, with all of these people reaching out to us in all of these different ways, what we basically said to ourselves is, how can we actually help these people move forward? What can we do to actually push these people forward according to, standards and ways that we know people can move forward as it pertains to property? And for us, the answer really was to make ourselves more available. So the team said, look, Samuel, let's do a live show where on a regular basis we make ourselves available to answer questions and in order to help people strategize through the storm. And that's effectively what the show started off as. The first set of series of this show started off as the strategy in the storm, where we would basically jump on live, allow you guys to call in like we're going to do today. And you guys will basically ask us questions about your specific property journey. So, we usually do strategy sessions with our coaching clients. Those strategy sessions usually last for a minimum of 60 minutes and people pay for those strategy sessions. But because we wanted to make ourselves available, we said that this live show was going to be absolutely free, which is why we decided to host it on YouTube. And we're going to allow you guys to ask us your property questions, which we can help you with to help you move forward in your property journey. So guys, this is all about you guys and helping you guys move forward in your property journey. So I've got in the chat, yes, can hear you okay. That's absolutely perfect. So we should be ready to go for tonight's show. We've got everything in place. So without further ado, as I've said earlier, guys, don't forget to say hi, leave a comment, say hi in the comments. We've already got a hi from Yogesh. Yogesh, great to see you on tonight. Looking forward to connecting with you further throughout tonight's show. And anyone else who decides to jump on who may have additional questions or comments that they want to share in tonight's show. Now, we usually start with some red tape. It's a disclaimer, but we will share that right now. That is all information that is provided and results given are exemplary. Each person's results may vary or differ. Results are based on consistent implementation of strategies, and we advise that you always, yes, always seek legal and financial advice from a qualified professional. Okay, and if you guys need help in order to connect with a qualified professional, just let us know and we will connect you with a qualified professional like one of our guest speakers who we invited to episodes ago, on episode 33, we had Paul Roberts, who is a qualified mortgage broker, also financial advisor of sorts in terms of the insurance world, and side by side of that, also a qualified accountant. So guys, if you need help, let us know. If you need to connect with other people who are doing certain professional roles in the field of property, let us know, and we can definitely help you and connect you with those people. Now, if you want support in terms of coaching and those kind of things, then again, let us know, because that's what we do. We support people to make an impact in their property journey. Now, I want to shout out every single person who's connecting. Shout out to Yogesh as well. Those of you who are regular viewers of this live content, because we've just recently broken through the 300 mark as it pertains to our subscribers on YouTube, which is a massive, massive, massive benchmark, and we really appreciate you guys. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, as you know. So although we've passed 300 subscribers, we are en route to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you, a great big thank you to every single person who's been a part and is going to continue to be a part of this journey, not only connecting with us here on the live streams, but side by side with that, watching out for our weekly videos that we drop, where we help you get creative property investing on demand. Now, something that I'm really looking forward to, we got something coming up. I asked last week in episode 34 if you guys would find it valuable if we actually gave you guys a video series sharing with you how we transition out of doing these live videos in my office / in the studio we've been using into a brand new studio space. And we are planning to do that. We got a few people in the last episode 34 of the live show saying, yes, Samuel, we think that would be of value. So as a direct result of that, we are going to be creating that. Now, what would be amazing for us, what would be really helpful for us, is for us to know what would be the most valuable components of that kind of video content. What do you really want to know? Because if you're property people like I am, you might want to know about how we refurbish the place, the environment, from what it is into what it's going to be. Okay, so that might be something really of interest to you. If you're like me, I'm a bit of a tech geek. Okay, my first ever degree was in computing and statistics. I did a joint major, so I really like computers. I like technology. So if you're like me in that sense, you might want to know what tech are they going to have in that studio space in order to do the live streaming, in order to do video content, etc. What technology are they going to have? If you're interested in that stuff, let us know. Whatever it is, whether it's the technology, whether it's the refurbishment, whether it's all of it, whether it's, you know, how we got the space, how we're using the space, are we buying the space, are we renting the space, whatever you're interested in terms of a video series that we can create to help you guys see how we transition from using my study space and part-time a studio space, because we've been broadcasting these live shows from 2 different locations since we started in episode 1. Okay, most of the time it's been here in my private study, but at several different occasions we've transitioned into a studio space, which is amazing. I like the studio space because I've got the white background. You guys can see more of me. We've got a different lens that we use. We use a different camera set, but also a different lens. So right now we're using, again, I don't know if you guys are interested in cameras and lenses and all of that stuff, but again, this stuff is tech, so it's stuff I'm interested in. But right now we use a small focal length, okay, in terms of the lens. And because we use a small focal length in terms of the lens, you know, my camera can be close, etc., and you get a good shot of me. Whereas in the studio, we use a wider focal length, okay? So you see kind of me up into the mid-body kind of image. But again, guys, let me know. Let me know what you guys want to know. Let me know if you guys want to know if we're going to go to 2 cameras, 3 cameras. Let me know what you guys want to know, okay? Because I don't want to create content for me. I want to create content for you, all right? And that's why we've been growing in terms of subscribers, because we're trying to serve a community and not just serve ourselves, all right? So we passed 300 subscribers. We're en route to 1,000. Guys, a big thank you. I appreciate every single person who's hit subscribe, who shared the channel, who shared a video, who said this is good content, who's pressed like. If you haven't pressed like, feel free to press like right now, and every other thing. So all of our subscribers and comments on how we can improve the show as well have all been extremely helpful. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing and what you're helping us do. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to jump straight into the news, all right? We are going to jump straight into the news, all right? And a big shout out to Ranjit. We got Ranjit on the show. Ranjit says he is new. So Ranjit, welcome for your first time on the Impact Show. It's a pleasure to have you, okay? It's a pleasure to have you in our community. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I'm hoping and praying that you get a lot of value out of the show. Feel free, Ranjit, to let us know any questions you have specifically about property from another person's point of view. Feel free to write those into the chat. Side by side with that, if there's value you want to offer to people who actually comment in the chat, in the chat as well, feel free to let them know what value you can offer. Now, like I said, guys, we need your help. So let us know, continually let us know what we need to do in order to move things to the next level, in order to show you more of what we have in store. So like I said, guys, we are going to be transitioning out of the study and into the studio. Okay, and when we transition into the studio, we want to make it really, really of value to you guys. And the way that we think is best for us to be able to do that is very simply just by us saying to you guys, you know what, let's take you on the journey. And let's not only take you on the journey, but let's also show you what we're doing on the journey, because that's what this is about, guys. That's what this is really, really about. It's never been about, you know, just us creating content. It's been about a few other things. It's been about helping the community to move forward, and that's where our passion is, that's where our heart is, and that's why we're going to keep doing that. So now, without further ado, let's take this opportunity to jump into the news. Those of you as well who are not watching this live but you're watching this on the replay, feel free as well to let us know in the comments the same thing. What do you guys want to see? Do you want to know the technology that we're putting into the new studio space? What do you want? Okay, do you want to see the refurbishment? What do you want to see? Let us know what you want to see, and then we'll know how to get it happening for you guys. Okay, guys, remember, this channel is all about how to help you guys move further, faster in your property investing journey. All right, so in order for it to be about you, we have to make that deal where you guys let us know. So just drop a comment in the chat and let us know. All right, so tonight's show, we're going to be talking about 2021. All right, something that not everybody is talking about, but I think is extremely interesting. 2021. Okay, and not just 2021 and what it holds. All right, we got hire from KTR in the comments. A great big hire to you also, KTR. Great to see you on the show again, and I hope you get a lot of value out of tonight's show as we talk about 2021 and predictions. And it's interesting because KTR was actually the person who commented last week on episode 34 asking about the flip and saying, do we think that flips are actually a good strategy to go forward with in terms of the year ahead? So we're going to talk about that quite a bit. So guys, if you're open to that, stay tuned. We'll be talking about strategy specifically and a few other things. So KTR, thank you for commenting. Now, additionally, Yogesh, thank you for your comment. Yogesh has said in the chat, refurb cost and finding builders and project management. Absolutely brilliant. So we'll talk about that. This is the funniest thing, Yogesh, and I'm going to be very, very transparent about this. When we shift into the studio space, we most likely, because of the amount of work that is to be done, it's not a major amount of work, we most likely will not need to use specialist builders. Okay, so the builder might be me, okay, and me and my team. All right, so you might see various different people from the Impact Properties team who are just basically mucking in to get it done. All right, because it's not, we're not moving into a destruction site. We're not moving into you know, something that's been ravished as a studio. Okay, so as a result, we might not need builders per se. Okay, in terms of project management, that's a great comment. I think to a degree the video series we're going to create is going to give you guys an insight just in the process of it, of how we manage that project, because hopefully if you guys want to see everything, you guys will see everything, and that kind of video log will show you how the whole process of how we basically put things together. And then in terms of refurbishment costs, we're happy to do that. We're happy to share with you the costs that we spend in getting a studio space up and running. You know, and again, a lot of technology, let me say this, guys, I've been into technology for years. So a lot of the technology we're going to have in the studio is going to be, most of it's going to be stuff we already own. Why? Because we already own it. Let us know as well. This is something someone raised recently, and I thought, you know what? No one who's watching this is going to be interested in that. But let me say this. If you'd be interested in contributing in some way, shape or form to the new studio setup, let us know. Okay. And I'm happy to explain to you what was mentioned the other day. If you guys want me to explain to you what was mentioned the other day, just write the word explain in the chat and I will definitely do that. Okay. So just write the word explain in the chat if you want me to explain to you one of the ways that someone mentioned recently that potentially you guys could end up contributing or supporting in terms of us getting the new studio space up and running. And like I said, guys, look, I'm here for you guys. So I'm happy to give you guys that opportunity to support what we're doing in that way, shape or form. Okay, because this is what we do, guys. And in order to make it make sense, we might have to do that. We might have to open up an opportunity for you guys to actually contribute. Because I think it will be cool, but at the same time, I just personally didn't think anybody would be interested in it, which is why I haven't brought it up as of yet. But again, someone on the team mentioned it earlier on in the week, and I thought, you know what, let me just share it with the community and let's see what the community thinks. So let's jump into the article first and foremost without wasting any more time. All right, this article is from Property Investor. What is the website called again? Look at me, dumbfounded with the website because I got so much into the new studio build. Guys, as you can tell, I'm pumped about the new studio. Okay, I am pumped about it. So I might have to rein it in just to make sure that I'm staying on track with tonight's show. But guys, I'm really pumped about the new studio. I'm really pumped about showing you guys around. I'm pumped about every aspect of it, guys. I'm just being honest with you guys. This is the kind of stuff that gets me pumped, doing projects. Okay, so let me know, guys, what you want to know about the projects. I can definitely keep you guys up to date. Okay, so Property Investor Today. Okay, apologies, Property Investor Today. So Property Investor Today, this is an article which we stumbled upon. This was released on the 9th of December, so again, fairly recent, about 3 days ago. And it was an interesting article. I'm going to read through the article, share with you guys what they've basically shared. And then you guys can, again, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Fill up the comments as you usually do with your views as well, because we're very interested in your views. So it says, headline, property market predictions for 2021. What can we expect? Okay. And the thing that's great about this is we've been talking about this since March of 2020. All right. Since March of this year on this show, we have actually been talking about what's going to happen next year and beyond. So again, guys, this is that time. And guys, let me say this before I go into this article. If you know somebody, okay, even if it's just one person, if you know somebody who you think would be interested in finding out what's happening in 2021 with property, which starts next month because we're already in December, okay, if you know somebody who you think would find value in the content we're about to speak about, what's going to happen in property, in the property world in 2021, hit share right now. Okay, share it with them. Share this YouTube video with them right now live. Hopefully they can jump on live, and if they've got specific questions, they can get their questions answered as well. I just think it's worth giving people that opportunity. There's so much stuff I want to share with you guys. So yeah, and again, another thing to say, okay, the 26th of December, which is 2 weeks from now, which effectively is scheduled as episode 37, is on Boxing Day. Okay, so Boxing Day coincides with episode 26. So let us know if you actually want us to go live on Boxing Day, or if you're going to be with your family, if you're going to be busy, etc. Because if you guys are going to be busy, we do this for the community. We will not show up. But if you guys want an impact show on the 26th of December, just write in the chat, Boxing Day show. Okay, Boxing Day show. 3 words, Boxing Day show. And we will work out how we can get the team ready to make that happen. So let's jump straight in. Property market predictions for 2021. What can we expect? The property predictions for 2021 continue to roll in as the sector looks ahead to the upcoming 12 months. Here we get the thoughts of leading property developer GRE Assets and leading independent buying agency Blackbrick on where the market will go next year. Okay, now the reason why this is important is because you've got insights coming from a developer or a developing firm, and you've also got research coming from a buying agent. Okay, so these are two key fulcrums, two key property pillars in the property sector. You've got the buyers, you've got the sellers, obviously that will be traditional estate agents, and then you've got developers, you've got investors. Okay, so those are the 4 core components generally of the property market. Additionally, you have construction, you have the actual people that are doing the work, but I'm talking about in terms of the people that have a finger on the pulse. Okay, so it's talking about 2 of the key kind of fulcrums in the property space, giving you some views. So let's have a look at it. It says a promising start to 2021. GRE Assets believe that with pent-up demand after lockdown 2.0 and promising news surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine, the UK property market should expect an encouraging start in 2021. Michael El Kassir, managing director of GRE Assets, which specializes in residential property development, which is key, and regeneration in strategic locations across the UK and Spain, below explains what the company has experienced in the latter half of 2020 and how he believes this will inform the market as we approach 2021. So this is a direct quote from Michael Alcacer. It says, as 2020 draws to a close, the market is showing continued growth with interest from both buyers and renters in new build developments located in towns and cities undergoing major regeneration. He comments. Now, again, for us as investors, one of the things we need to think about is, where are those locations? Where are the locations which throughout 2020 continue to have regeneration projects taking place? Okay, so just think about things like that as we go through, because that will help you kind of navigate through this particular article. It says this trend directly, and again, this is still quoting Michael Alcacer. It says this trend directly aligns with our criteria for identifying investment locations which offer affordability, transport connections, and ongoing regeneration, as seen in our Ashford and Peterborough projects. Okay, so he's now giving you two spearhead indications of where they're doing developments. He goes again. Now this is the article writer. He says, with the imposed lockdown restrictions, meaning people have spent much more time at home this year, this has led to a distinct rise in a number of people seriously considering their next property move. Now, this is one thing I want to say to you guys. When they say ambiguous terms like people considering their next property move, you have to bear in mind that there's a bias on that. What kind of property move are we talking about? Okay, because if you search out the news, the numbers, the statistics specifically, one of the things you'll find is the majority of people who are looking at doing moves or looking at moving right now are looking at moving outside of predominantly congested cities. They're looking at moving out of London, moving out of, the Birminghams, the Manchesters. That's what these people are considering doing. Okay, so that's something to think about. Don't just take, people are looking, seriously considering their next property move, but not necessarily as if it hasn't got a specific skew or a specific direction currently. It goes on to say low interest rates. Okay, and this is key. Low interest rates, the existing Help to Buy scheme and stamp duty incentives have also created a sense of urgency, he adds. It goes on to say the pandemic has been a wake-up call for prospective buyers and renters who have reassessed their priorities when looking for their next home. Not only are they spurred on to make the leap from London, again, now articulating what I was talking about a moment ago, they also recognize the importance of having access to green space, whether that is nearby parks, balconies, terraces, and gardens. Okay, so that's just additional space. It goes on to say Alcacer also points to the vast shift in the working world as employees and companies have adapted in many cases seamlessly to working from home. Now, guys, before I go further in this article, some of the things I want to highlight. Okay, working from home has become a key thing. Okay, working from home has become a very, very key thing. All right. So I want you guys to understand that people like us who are investing in property, we need to consider that. Okay. And I'm going to say this. I know this is bold, but I'm going to say this. Gone are the days of I set up a HMO with limited communal space. Okay. And if you don't believe those days are gone, just wait until your money starts drying up. Okay. And I'm just going to be very transparent with you. Now, if you're one of those people who over the last 6, 7 years, 5 years have been focused on what has been called the co-living brand. Okay. Now, this is something that Property Investor News, that's one of the magazines I read quite regularly. Again, Property Investor News talk about this a lot. YPN magazine, they talk about this a lot. Again, these are magazines that just give you insights into what is going on in the market, etc. If I can grab a copy here. Okay. So these are just a copy, copies of the kind of magazines I generally tend to read. These are old copies, but just by me. Again, cameras on small. Let's shift that up for you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is Property Investors News. Very great publication. Okay. Those are the kind of news articles and magazines that will give you insights into where the trends are, how the trends are operating, what are other people doing in terms of the industry. Also, Your Property Network, okay, another magazine. I've collaborated with their organization a number of times in order to do events and all of that stuff in the past. Guys, those kind of magazines will help you understand and navigate exactly what I'm talking about, okay? But with regards to this, they're basically saying to you that you need to understand the trends that are taking place in order to prepare yourself for 2021. That's what they're basically saying. They're saying 2021 is going to start strong. Okay. Now, 2021 may start strong, but that's not necessarily an overall picture of how 2021 is going to be specifically. Now, coming back to us, okay, as investors, and specifically people like me who are interested in HMOs or multi-lets or maximizing cash flow and revenue on projects, I want to say this to you, okay? I want to say this to us, people who invest like me. Like I said a minute ago, gone are the days, okay? Gone are the days of creating HMOs with very limited space in terms of communal, okay? And the reason why is because people are adapting to this work from home mentality. So as long as that continues to push forward and pervade, what's equally going to happen is you're going to see a number of people who are going to require and actually desire to have more space, even in HMOs. Okay, they're gonna want to have more space to work, more space to live, more space to enjoy. Okay, so it's all about the brand of co-living, which again, these kind of magazines have captured very well over the years. But co-living spaces, it's all about creating co-living spaces, all right, and things like that in order to really turn your brand to the next level. So these are things I want people thinking about in terms of how can you do that? How can you do that with your existing stock? How can you do that with stock that you're potentially looking at taking on? All right, and guys, I'm still taking on deals right now. Okay, I sent out a contract. Today is Saturday. We sent out a contract yesterday, just before the close of business yesterday, to one of our new landlords. Okay, we are still taking on properties in our rent to rent business, in our sourcing business, etc., etc. Now is the time, guys. I've been saying this all year since March. Okay, now is the time. Please, please, please don't be the person who hears this and waits till 2022 to start getting active. So let's jump back in. The urgency that Elka says, but okay, so it says okay, I'll read this paragraph again. While people will return to the office as the latest restrictions ease, apologies, let me go back and then come forward. Elka also points to vast shift in the working world as employees and companies have adapted in many cases seamlessly to work from home. He goes on, while people will return to the office as the latest restrictions ease, we strongly believe businesses will continue to work flexibly moving forward, meaning adaptable space and connectivity at home is of high importance for new homeowners, he explains. At GRE Assets, they pride themselves on delivering high quality, well-connected homes which respond to residents' long-term and short-term needs. Their Riverside Park project in Ashford, obviously this is him selling his project, is a great example of this. The provision of outdoor space, hyper-optic broadband and space to work from home has proven to be especially popular in 2020, and they are confident this will continue into the new year. In particular, he thinks the Southeast will continue to be one to watch in 2021. Guys, I have been saying this for a while, for about a quarter, the last 3 months, okay? I've been saying, don't just run up north, okay? There's opportunities. We did a video. Are there still deals in London? Okay, I even got a message recently on WhatsApp asking a question about this, which I was going to bring on the show today, but I thought this article really sums it up well, so I won't go into it. It goes on to say, with GRE witnessing increased demand and lack of supply in this area post-lockdown, while UK-wide we have seen a rise in house prices and activity, it is the Southeast that really stands out, he insists. The region offers the near perfect package of high quality, affordable homes in popular regeneration areas with excellent connectivity to London. Demand here is currently outstripping supply, which is something we intend to continue to address as we head into 2021. Now, if you understand about business, you understand what they're saying. They're basically saying, look, they're going to ramp up their marketing. They're going to find other ways to actually find more properties in the Southeast region because it makes sense to them financially, okay? It's growing appropriately. It's got good connections to London, etc., etc., etc. Now, let's keep going. The company already has properties available in Ashford and is exploring other opportunities across Kent and the wider Southeast to ensure its clients receive the best investment options. Now, when I told people that I was doing projects in Kent throughout lockdown, people were looking at me like, Samuel, what are you talking about? No problem, let's just keep doing what we're doing. GRE Assets also anticipates that the recent news of the successful COVID-19 vaccine trials will kickstart a positive wave from house hunters as people can start to see the end in sight and are, as a consequence, more confident about planning ahead. Even though we know the vaccine will not be rolled out to all for a number of months, it is enough to give people the hope they need to start their property searches. The news is likely to provide a green light for people that were previously apprehensive and boost buyer confidence within the market as we move into 2021. It goes on and goes on and goes on. Now, let's jump into the predictions. Okay, these are predictions coming from Blackbrick. Predictions and trends for 2021. Blackbrick, the well-known independent buying agency founded by Camilla Dell in 2002, which provides expert advice to buyers in London, the home countries and the southeast, recently released its December 2020 newsletter in which it outlines its main predictions for 2021. Below, we take a closer look at the key takeaways. Let's look at Q1. We'll read the summaries. We'll jump into Q2 and we'll move forward. Q1, Blackbrick's managing partner Dell and partner Caspar Harvard Walls expect a bumpy outlook in Q1 with the expiry of the stamp duty holiday on homes worth up to £500,000, an introduction of a 2% foreign buyer surcharge, speculation over changes to capital gains tax in the spring budget, and adjustment to life outside the EU, all making things a potential rollercoaster ride for a while. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the intricacies. If you guys want the specific details, okay, if you want the specific details, what I want you guys to do is just write in the chat link, okay, the word link, L-I-N-K. If you write link, I'll send the link in the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, just look in the description. The link will be in the description today's show, in today's show notes. Now, just to read the summary, it says a year in transactions, okay, this is really key. It reads, Blackbrick says that despite the many challenges of 2020, its team still acquired £59,077,000 of property, with 19% of this off market. Please understand this. What's more, on average, it saved its clients 7.1% when buying a home. Now, my question is, where did that saving come from? That saving, I can tell you, came from the fact that these properties were not going to be found by anyone else, off market being a key. Let's go going further. Here it says you can see the full Blackbrick report market update here, blah blah blah. It has the link, etc. So you guys, if you're interested in the link, let me know in the chat. Just write the word link and I'll send that through. All right, now this is interesting. Okay, it's interesting for a number of reasons. One of the reasons it's interesting is very simply because what this actually shows you is the same thing I've been saying to you guys forever. It's the same thing we're going to talk about on Monday in the upcoming masterclass. If you're interested in that masterclass, let me know and I can send you the link. Okay, we have a bunch of masterclasses that we run on a regular basis, and all of these masterclasses help you guys understand how to move forward in your property journey. And the reason these masterclasses are so key is because these masterclasses cover the exact same thing they've just shared with you. Now's the time to take advantage, and how to take advantage. One of the keys, Blackbrick mentioned it, off-market opportunities. Okay, opportunities that not every single person is going for, opportunities that you are aware of and other people are not aware of. And if you find opportunities like that, you can use those opportunities to take full advantage when other people are not ready. Okay, so guys, go register. The banner's right there, www.impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Go register for the up and coming masterclass on Monday. Okay, when you jump on that masterclass, when you register for that masterclass, we will break down to you throughout that masterclass how you can take advantage in this current climate. And those of you who have been on that masterclass, just write the word value in the chat if you've got value understanding when I break down how you can take advantage in this current climate. All right, let me know in the chat if you've been on that masterclass. If you have, let me know if you've got value from it, so that we can basically share that with other people and they can know that there is value there. Now, we've got a comment that's come through from Yogesh. Yogesh says he thinks people will go back to cities once COVID is controlled. People love the buzz and activities. I think you're totally right. I think you're totally right about that, Yogesh. One thing I will say about that, Yogesh, for us to think about is time frame. Okay, because a lot of the time we understand what will generally happen, we understand the natural progression, but sometimes we don't appreciate the time frame. Now, the way you work this out from a business perspective is businesses operate on quarters, as we all know. So you got Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 throughout 2021. There are going to be those same 4 quarters that we're going to be tracking and looking at things. So the question is, if people are going to go back to normal life, okay, let's assume, you know, from the article that we're reading, okay, from the information we're seeing here, let's assume people are going to go back to normal life at some point. The question is, if they are going to go back, when is that? Is that going to be in Q1? The answer to me, in my opinion, is no way. Okay. Is it going to be in Q2? The answer to me is no way. Okay. Why? Because people in the UK, with the UK being the first place that apparently the COVID vaccine has been released to, are going to be spending a lot of time debating through, should they take the vaccine? Is the vaccine for everybody? Is the vaccine needed? Is the vaccine safe? All of these questions that people are asking themselves right now, they're asking that now in December. They're going to be asking themselves that all throughout the first quarter of next year. Then the second quarter is going to begin. And usually what's going to happen, in my opinion, in the second quarter, there's going to be a lot more talk about the whole Brexit ideology. What's happening with Brexit? The side comments coming from Boris Johnson around expect there to be no deal. Is that kind of talk going to translate into something? What is actually really going to happen? So I see that propaganda leaking into Q2. And the problem with that is, if that stuff leaks into Q2, people aren't going to be confident about buying and moving property in Q2 with that kind of talk about EU still going on, especially if there's obviously this COVID backdrop as well. So these are things to just think about. And for me, like I said, I think you're totally right, Yogesh. I think people will be moving back to cities, but I think it's going to take time. I think there's going to be a period of time before that takes place. And I think that period of time is the metric to understand, so we can take advantage both before and after that period of time. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. All right, a little bit of an interlude, and we're going to come back to this. Rex has thrown in the chat, interested in the link. No problem, Rex. We will send the link out. Definitely, it will be in the description of the video, but we'll definitely get that out to you. If I can, let me see if I can actually do that right now, because that'll be helpful. If I can just throw the link in for you guys right now. Yes, I can. That's brilliant. All right, so the link is in the chat now. KTR says explain. Okay, now this is to do with something else. This was to do with the question I asked earlier about, would you guys as viewers want to contribute to the development of the new YouTube studio that we're going to be creating for you guys, and the new content creation space we're going to be creating for you guys. This is what was basically explained to me, or shared to me. Okay, now I don't know much about this stuff because I'm not really, the biggest fan of Amazon and all of these things, but I was basically told that you can create like an Amazon wish list, a list which is actually public, where other people can see it. And what the member of the team was basically saying is, we could potentially create a list, sharing with the community what kind of technology, what kind of equipment we're planning to get for the actual studio coming up. And then what people could do if they wanted to contribute to our development and our growth is actually contribute by actually purchasing things off the wish list. So that is the explanation that KTR asked for. Let me know in the chat, guys, what you guys think about that. What that would allow us to do is that would allow us to basically share the burden of developing our studio. So you guys as viewers would be able to say, well, look, I haven't paid for a coaching call, but I've got a lot of value off of the actual live show. So what I want to do is invest in the live show, invest in the YouTube channel by doing this, by grabbing a camera, by grabbing a cradle, by grabbing a gimbal, whatever it is, by grabbing lights. I don't know what's going to be on there because, like I said, we've got a lot of equipment already. But yeah, there will probably be more equipment that we're going to use in order to kit out the studio. That might be computers, etc., etc. So guys, let me know what your thoughts are about that. We're open to hearing your thoughts. We've got another comment here from Rex as well. Rex says, they're surprised that in 2020 developers are not having mandatory communal space moving forward in 2021. That makes sense. How much communal space will be enough in London? That is a great question. And I think that's a question we need to think about, guys, because what you don't find is governments being very speedy or quick in order to change legislation. So I do assume, and I'll say that I do assume that that's going to change over time, okay? Because usually what happens is the living style, the living arrangements change of the communities before the government grab on and make it law, okay? So I don't expect the government to be changing anything fairly soon, but I do expect it to be changing at some point, all right? So there you go. That's what I expect to be happening. All right, so guys, don't forget to hit like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and be a part of what we're actually doing. Yogesh asked for the masterclass link please, in the chat. So hopefully I will be able to give that to you guys. I should be able to copy and paste it. Okay, the answer to that was no. Okay, the joys of technology, guys. All right, so let's see if this works. And we should be able to get that on. There you go. Okay, perfect. All right, so our next masterclass is on Monday. You can use that link in the chat. Okay, www.impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass, and you can register for Monday's masterclass, where we will be breaking down how you can take advantage in this current climate and win. Now, we're going to open up the phone lines. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines, allow you guys to call in if you have specific questions that you want to have answered about your own personal property journeys. And then after opening up the phone lines, we'll jump back into the chat to see what you guys have been saying. So, to the best of my abilities, the phone line is now open. Okay, call in with your questions if you have any. You can call in using the number 0330-606-0403, and we also have the access code which is on the screen as well. So feel free to call in 0330-606-0403 and pop in the access code, and you'll be able to get your questions directly sent to me. All right, guys, so there's the masterclass link given to you. Side by side with that, we've got the number on the screen for anybody who wants to let us know what their specific property challenges are. Okay, so that should help you guys if you want to take that opportunity and call in. All right, so whilst you guys are doing that, I'm gonna have a quick look in the chat, see if there was any other comments that I missed. Again, like I said, guys, let me know two things that we covered earlier on. First thing, what kind of content you want to see as it pertains to property as we do our transition from no longer doing videos here in the study, no longer doing videos in my office, and transitioning into doing videos in a purpose-built studio for YouTube. What kind of content do you want to see? Do you want to know about the technology? Do you want to know about the cameras we're using? Do you want to know about the lenses we're using? Do you want to know about the internet connection? What do you guys want to know about? Do you want to know about what's connected to what, how we connect it all? Some people in the team are really interested in that stuff. So if you are interested in that, let us know. If you're interested more so in terms of whatever lighting we're using, whatever you're interested in, let us know, guys. Remember, this is your channel. So we want to make the channel of more value to you by sharing with you guys what you guys want to see. So let me know what you guys want to see in terms of our transition from the office, from the studio, from the study to the studio. Let me call it that way, because that way it makes sense. So we'll be out of my office and into the purpose-built YouTube studio for the show. So guys, let me know what you guys want in terms of that. All right, side by side with that, yes, the phone lines are open, so guys, feel free to call in if you want to call in. I'm just really checking through the chat right now. We had a comment from Yogesh earlier. Is there a guest today? Not on tonight's show. We're lining up guests so that in 2021 we have a sequence of guests and not just drip drabs. So next year we're going to have a whole sequence of guests. We may still have a guest or two before the end of this year. Again, I did say, guys, let me know if you want Boxing Day show. Let me know if on the 26th of the 26th of December, which is a Saturday, if you guys do still want us to have a live show, because we are happy to show up. If you guys desire it, we'll put things together to make the team make that happen. All right, so we had Ranjit Singh saying he's new. Welcome, Ranjit, to the show. Yogesh told us refurb costs and builders. We had KTR saying hi everyone. Hi KTR, great to have you on again tonight. Okay, Yogesh's comment about people coming back. Rex's comment, interested in the link. All right, good stuff. So I'm all caught up. All right, so guys, let us know in the chat about any of the things I've mentioned. There's 3 things I think we've covered so far. The new studio, what you guys want to see. Should we have a Boxing Day show? And the third one was any thoughts about you guys contributing through means of some process in order for us to build out our new studio. All right, so those are the 3 things that we basically had out. Now, we don't have any callers coming through yet, which is actually okay. That's okay. So guys, let me know if you guys have any specific property challenges that you want to discuss on the show. We're here for you. Remember that. And side by side with that, this is probably a great time for me to share with you guys about our key resource for those of you who haven't got it already. Okay, the 7 best books for your property investing success. So this key resource is absolutely free. You can get that by going to the link impactproperties.co.uk/book list. Okay, /book list, impactproperties.co.uk/book list. This is an absolutely free key resource where I will basically break down in that resource. It's basically like a little ebook. I'll break down in there 7 best books for your property investing success. So if you're a complete beginner, that is an amazing resource for you. If you are much more advanced, there are going to be at least 3 books in there which are going to be extremely helpful for you also. Now, one of the benefits or caveats of that resource is the fact that 70% of the resources inside of that actual ebook can be obtained absolutely free. And the reason why is because we've put links in there where you can basically go and grab them for free via Audible, with a free 30-day subscription to Audible, and you can cancel and keep the book after or within 30 days. And side by side with that, also there's the Kindle versions in there as well, so that could happen also. All right, now we got this excellent. All right, we got a few questions in here. Excellent. We got Rex who's thrown in a question for Yogesh specifically, which is interested. For those of you who do not know, Yogesh is a medical practitioner. So I perceive that is why Rex has thrown that question his way. But let's see Yogesh's first question out here. So, all right. So Yogesh asked the question, can we bring a planning or tax expert on a future show, please? Answer is 100% yes. Let me write that on the board right now so I don't forget as well. Because I think with the lineup of speakers we've got coming, I think we had a planning expert. No, I know we had a tax expert lined up. So I'll write that up here. Tax expert, planning expert. And I think that was both of them. Can you bring a planning or tax expert future show, please? All right, excellent. So those 2 definitely can be done, and we'll put those in the lineup coming up soon. Okay, next question from Yogesh. Do you see prices going up in long term in London over 5 years? Okay, I'm gonna say something slightly controversial, because most people don't think like this, but this is how I think. Okay, and I got this way of thinking not from myself. I didn't make it up. I actually got this way of thinking from someone who most of us might know. That is Jim Rohn, who was a business philosopher who's actually passed away. I believe he passed away in 2015. But one of the things Jim Rohn used to say, which I think is extremely powerful, Jim Rohn used to say that the future is going to be exactly how it's always been. Okay, I'll repeat that. The future is going to be exactly how it has always been. And Jim Rohn would then add on 2 statements. That statement is opportunity mixed with difficulty. Okay, so guys, if you've got your notepads, your pens, if you're one of those people like me, you watch content like this with your notepad and pen out, you got your journal, you got your biro, or your iPad or your tablet, and you're taking notes, I'd write that down. Okay, Jim Rohn. Okay, I can share his name in the chat if that's going to be helpful for you guys. But Jim Rohn used to do this all of the time. He used to say this statement all of the time. It's a really, really powerful statement. He used to say the future is going to be how it has always been, which is opportunity mixed with difficulty. Okay, so because of that, what I want to say to you is this specifically, I guess, to give you a feel of what I think about the next 5 years with the property market. I think the property market over the next 5 years is going to do the same thing that it's been doing. Okay, it's going to fluctuate. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Now, do I think the long-term trend is up? The answer to that is yes. I think in London, the long-term trend is still going to be up. And the reason why is because even though people are going to retract from working at specific commercial offices, etc., you're still going to find people who are going to want to work in the capital, but not necessarily in an office space. Okay, so I do think definitely there is going to be an uptake in terms of demand. And because there's going to be an uptake in terms of demand, obviously living on an island as we do in the UK, there isn't anywhere else to build. So as a result, if you're in the UK, if you're in England, if you're in London, you have to understand that London is the only capital in England. It's the only capital. There aren't 2 or 3 capitals. There is one capital, and it's London. So as a direct byproduct, what is generally going to tend to happen is even if people stop working in specific offices or office buildings, they will start to want to work in the capital still, whether it's for the nightlife or whatever else is going to be on offer, which again, other cities do have, but not necessarily in the same way. So my belief is that London's trajectory in terms of property price is upwards, okay? And I assume that's going to keep happening, all right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going, all right? I know I've got quite a few questions. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. All right, so Rex asked Yogesh the question there, which I believe Yogesh answered as well somewhere later on. All right, so let's go for KTR's question. Jam-packed, fully loaded question. So let's go for this one. All right, KTR says, she has viewed a potential rent-to-rent in Zone 1. Great prime location, but the flat does not have a living room and garden. Plus, they are building a site at the back, so it's noisy. Needs 3K to refresh, okay? What do you think? All right. And she's also added here, which I think is interesting, rent is decent, okay? All right. My thoughts for this, KTR, is now still the time. Okay, like I shared on the webinar, like I said, the webinars we're running on Mondays, this is one of the things I talk about. I think now is actually a really good time to get new property deals. And the reason why is it's two-sided. One, you've got a bunch of people who were not experts, who didn't really know what they were doing, who acquired property because of the fads, because of the courses you could go to for free, because of the courses you could pay £1 and get on. Because of all of these gimmick training, there's a lot of people who have gone and acquired properties. They might have acquired 2 or 3 rent-to-rent. They might have acquired 2 or 3 buy-to-let. They might own 2 or 3 HMOs. But a lot of those people, and again, this is not me generalizing that everyone with only 2 or 3 properties is not serious, but a lot of those people weren't serious. What they were motivated by the environment. Okay. Now, one thing I'll say to you is since March of this year, there hasn't been much motivation for those people to keep going. Okay. There's very few property people who are out there like myself who are telling people now is the time. Like there's going to be some great opportunities. There are very few property people who are telling you can win in this current climate. There are very, very few people who are doing that. So the point I'm making to you, KTR, is if the deal stacks up, if the numbers make sense, I think now is a great time. And secondarily, don't just have your plan A, which was the same plan A as pre-lockdown. Okay? Have a plan A which is a relevant plan A for right now, okay? Post-lockdown, within lockdown, okay? So for example, okay, a number of the properties that we are taking on right now, we've slightly skewed our approach, okay? So whether they be properties we're buying, properties we're controlling, properties we're doing management on through means of rent to rent, it doesn't make a difference. We have slightly skewed the way we're doing things, okay? Are we negotiating harder with landlords? Yes. Okay, we're negotiating much harder with landlords. I'll give you an example, okay, because many people will not know this is possible. The property I mentioned earlier that we sent out a contract on yesterday, okay, and again, this is just me sharing transparently, guys. You guys take it as you want, okay? We just guaranteed for the next 3 years a rent that is lower on that property than the rent the landlord received for the last 4 years. Okay, I want you to understand that we've just guaranteed for the next 3 years from that contract. Obviously, the contract's not signed. We sent it out yesterday, but we've already agreed on the price, which is why we sent out the contract. But the point is, we have just sent out an agreement on a provisional basis with a rent for the next 3 years, which the landlord agreed to tentatively. Okay, we have to sign the contracts, but they've agreed, over the email exchange, etc. But potentially we are going to be taking on this property for the next 3 years with a rent guarantee which is lower than what this specific same landlord has just been receiving for the last 4 years. Okay. Now, why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because it's an indication of what I'm talking about. We are negotiating harder with landlords because we can, because the environment allows us to. Okay. So you have to think about that. All right. Have you done that on this particular deal you're talking about? Will you be able to make this deal make sense? even if it doesn't hit your projected figures? Do you have a skewed plan for now, a plan that is relevant to the current climate? And do you have a plan B that's still relevant to the current climate before you go into plan C, which might have been what you'd usually do? All right. So these are things I would throw out to you, things I think you should be thinking about. All right. So KTR, let us know in the chat, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 star, 2 star, 1 star, how you rate the answer to that question. But that's what I'd say to that. All right. And hopefully let me know if I've answered your question fully as well. All right. Okay. We've got some interesting comments in the chat about the vaccine. All right. So Yogesh asked the question, if you want completely hands-free investment, what do you recommend that person do to find someone they can trust? Jump on the live show. Jump on our show. Come and invest with us. That's what I'd advise them to do. You know, if you know what you do is good, you would encourage people to invest with you. So I am regularly encouraging people to invest with us. We just secured a new investor in this month of December. This was 4 days ago. I think we sent out the contract, the agreement on Wednesday. So again, 3-4 days ago. Again, you know, we're still securing investors in this current climate. If you want a completely hands-free investment, you can come and invest with us, Impact Properties London. As long as we know you well enough and you know us well enough, let's make it happen. All right. So guys, hopefully that answers Yogesh's question fairly quickly as well. All right. We've got Rex who asked the question, Samuel, where can I find a tax expert for their limited company? All right, listen, finding a tax expert is fairly simple, okay? The key is finding a tax expert who has real life property experience, okay? So what I would say to you, Rex, again, I don't know all the details about your business, but what I'd say to you is email us, okay? Email our team on info@impactproperties.co.uk, info@impactproperties.co.uk, and we will be happy to make some kind of a recommendation for you in terms of tax experts who we think could be of benefit to you. So I've just thrown our email in the chat that will be able to help you, Rex, but info@impactproperties.co.uk. That should help you in terms of moving forward in your property journey and connecting with the right people. So that was Rex's question about a tax expert. Okay, so Rex asked a question. Rex asked, did I address their HMO question? They dropped out of the chat momentarily. Rex, I don't think your HMO question came up. I don't think it came up. It might have come up, but I don't think it came up. I think if you just have a look in the chat, you can let me know if you've seen it. But I don't think your question came up. Maybe that question didn't go through because you got pushed out of the chat. I don't know. But Rex, whatever the question is, throw the question in again. Happy to answer it. I've just gone all the way through the chat to make sure that I was up to date the moment I realized we didn't have a caller on the show yet. So yeah, happy to answer your question. Throw the question in and we'll basically have a look to see if it's a question I have or have not answered yet. So that should be fine. Okay, let me see if we've got any other questions coming through. Okay, I think they've got the comment on there now. All right, so, but again, Rex, if you've got another question, feel free to throw it through. Hopefully, I'll be able to grab that and share with you exactly my thoughts on it. Okay, any other questions? I think we've got a few more questions coming through. Guys, you are popping off the chat today. Looking forward to seeing if there are any more questions. Let me have a quick check. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think besides the HMO question, I don't think there are any others. All right, let's have a quick look. Okay, there's so much more here. All right. All right, so Rex says there has been a big push in the property sector by some experts regarding commercial to residential. What are your thoughts on this? Great question. Great question. Great question. All right, commercial to resi. Commercial to resi. Commercial to resi. Commercial to resi. Where do we go with this? What are my thoughts? Well, my thoughts are that commercial to residential is a great strategy. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to say. I think it is actually an amazing strategy. Is there money to be made? The answer is yes. Okay, there's definitely money to be made utilizing commercial to residential as an approach. Now, with regards to what I think about it, I'm not sure. Like, yes, there's always going to be people pushing commercial to residential. Yes, commercial to residential is always going to be a viable strategy and approach. But in regards to what, I think about commercial to residential, I think it depends. This is a great question. All right, so let me go through this methodically, because I think that's the way I can give you the best value, to answer this question specifically. All right. So let's assume you was one of my coaching clients, Rex, okay? And you asked me that question. Oh, Samuel, what do you think about commercial to residential? Do you think that it's actually, a viable strategy? Do you think it's something I should actually be doing, etc., etc., etc.? This is my thoughts, okay? And this is me being very transparent about this, Rex, okay? I think it depends on your situation. It depends on what you're starting with, what you've got to invest. It depends on what your knowledge base is, okay? Because I think one of the biggest issues we have right now in the property space is we have people who throw ideas out who don't, people that don't necessarily care about the individual they're talking to, okay? And I hope that makes sense. I'll elaborate and share that again for you to get exactly what I'm talking about. So one of the things I've noticed in the current climate of property is that we have so many people out here who are teachers, okay? And again, if you guys want me to break down the whole teaching conundrum in the property space, just write, break it down in the chat, okay? And I'll break that down for you, because that's something I like breaking down a lot of the time. I break it down mostly when I have one-to-one calls with people, but I'm happy to break that down in tonight's show. But let me know, okay, if you want me to break down the whole teaching conundrum in the property space, in my opinion, okay? So again, just write in the chat, break it down. Now, coming back to Rex's question, okay? Rex says there's been a big push in the property sector with regards to people, experts or some experts saying commercial to residential is where you should go. And what are my thoughts on this? Now, I think, like I said, I think commercial to residential property, C to R, we'll call it, is a great strategy. However, I think there are some people who are not ready for commercial to residential. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've done one rent to rent, you've never done a refurbishment, you have no idea whether it's something you can pull off. Yogesh mentioned earlier project management. If you don't know how to manage a project, should you really be going to do commercial to residential deals? No. Okay. Now, I would say, Rex, a better question, or a really good side question to your question is, how would you advise someone who's a complete beginner, or who's a beginner? They don't have to be a complete beginner, but how would you advise someone who is a beginner to go about getting into commercial to residential? So if you ask me that question, I think that's a great secondary question to your question. And my answer to that would be this. I would advise somebody who is a beginner, who's interested in getting into commercial to residential, to do the same thing that I advise most people to do when they want to get into a specific strategy that is not the easiest of strategies. So, if you want to get into an advanced strategy, how do you get into an advanced strategy? My advice is this: go and invest first. And this came up earlier. I think it was Yogesh who asked the question, if somebody wants to start to invest, how do they invest? How would you advise them to invest? And I said, look, let them contact us. It's the exact same thing, okay? Now, there's various strategies we're doing, but the point I'm making is this. If you want to get into commercial to residential, if you're watching this and you're thinking, you know what, I'd love to do a development where I buy a commercial building, convert that into a residential building, and reap the rewards of that, I would advise you to first go and find a credible investor / or developer who is doing commercial to residential deals, okay? Now, if that person is 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead of the journey than you are, there will be 1, 2, 3 things, maybe infinite things that you would learn from investing in their project and asking them respective questions. First and foremost, in your due diligence process, you will learn things about how they basically view projects, how they end up making those projects make sense to them, on paper with a spreadsheet, etc. Then from there further into that, when the actual project is live, if you've invested funds in a project, you should have site visits, 1 or 2, maybe 4 site visits in a 12-month period. Through those site visits, you'll be able to see exactly what they're doing, the stages, the way they project manage the project, etc., etc. There's so much to it, okay? Not stuff that we can necessarily all just break down in this one question on the live show, but I hope you guys understand exactly where I'm getting at. Those 2 gems alone will be very, very power packed and powerful for you if you utilize them. First one, go and find someone who's doing exactly the kind of projects you want to do. Invest in their project. Put your money into their project. As long as you trust the process and trust the project and trust the people, you shouldn't have a problem. But what you should do is invest in their project. Put some funds in their project, 100 grand, 200 grand, 50 grand, whatever you have available and whatever they're open to taking for the project. But invest in the project. After you've invested in the project for a while, utilize that to basically learn off the process. And after you've learned off the process, then come back and revisit the question: do I actually want to do commercial to residential? If the answer is still yes, then, and you still don't feel like you're ready, invest in someone else's project or invest in the same people's project again for another project, okay? Because whilst they're doing their next project, you will learn other things, okay? And it's that learning process that will help you move forward, okay? So that's what I'd say to you. Find a coach as well, okay? The way I've just explained is a way to kind of circumvent the coach as I basically talk about all of this. All right, so I've got from KTR. This is amazing. I love the comments when they get like this, when people start pointing fingers. All right, so Rex went further. I don't want to jump around too much. All right, I'll come to the up-to-date comments in a moment. Rex goes further and says, do you feel this could be the next hot thing? No. Okay, let me say this. All right, I want to answer this question right now. No. Okay, I do not think the next hot thing is commercial to residential. The reason I do not think the next hot thing is commercial to residential is because commercial to residential has been popping off since 2015, 2014. Okay, when the permitted development rights were changed, commercial to residential became a hot thing then, okay? So the point is, no matter how much it becomes more publicized, the only direction it can go in is the direction of saturation, okay? Now, I don't mean people doing it now are doing it whilst it's saturated, no, but what I'm saying is, it's already a hot thing. It's been a hot thing for about 4 to 5 years already. And there are a lot of people who have milked it, a lot of people who have taken real returns out of that opportunity. And as a result, now people looking for deals now who don't know how to look for deals properly, again, hashtag get on the masterclass on Monday and understand how to take advantage in this climate. But people who don't know how to find these great deals, the problem for them is, the reality is they're not getting great deals doing commercial to residential or any strategy because of the fact that the margins are too narrow right now. So do I feel that this could be the next hot thing? Not necessarily. Okay. Do you have experience in converting commercial to residential? Yes, I've worked with people on these projects. Any advice to be successful? My advice to be successful for you, Rex, is the same thing. Because I don't know where you're at in your journey, whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced. I can't really give you any blanket kind of advice. But what I would say is exactly what I said a moment ago. If you're starting out and you want to get into a new strategy like commercial to residential, I would always advise people to invest with people that they know, like, and trust first. After they've invested and learned from that experience, then to take that learning and reinvest that into your own project. Another thing you might want to do, I always advocate this, maybe because I'm a coach, I'm biased, but it's the reality. I've seen how coaching has radically changed my life. Get a coach who can help you. KTR knows about the power of coaching. I've coached KTR before for 6 months on a coaching program. KTR, let us know in the chat if coaching was of value to you. And KTR is still on the live stream, fairly regularly as well. So that says something. But KTR, let us know in the chat if you found your coaching relationship with myself of value in the past. All right, so KTR says seven stars, makes sense. Thank you. That was to my question that I answered for her earlier on. Rex says, thanks, Samuel. Most welcome, Rex. This is what we do. I'm going to answer this question, okay? So Yogesh says, how do you find social supporting housing companies to lease your property in London on guaranteed rent? Okay, again, I'll read the question. How do you find social supporting housing companies to lease your properties in London or on guaranteed rent? All right, that's a great question, Yogesh. this is tricky because I'm biased as well, okay? Because I actually work in collaboration with two social supported living accommodation providers. I work in conjunction with them. So I slightly feel like saying to you, email us, but I don't want to do that. I want to answer your question specifically. So in terms of finding social support in housing companies, what you can do first and foremost, just generally, you can Google it, okay? Which I wouldn't advise, but you can Google it. It's a start. It's a start to anything. So you can Google it and look at what you find there. Call up some of the providers. Let them know that you have a property, a HMO, 6-bedroom, 5-bedroom, whatever you have, and let them know what you're interested in terms of actually providing your house as a resource and asset to them for a 5-year, 3-year, whatever guaranteed period of time for a guaranteed rent. So the first thing is Google it. Second thing, let's get a bit more tangible. Contact your actual borough. Okay. Now, the reason this isn't the foolproof route is because you have cross-borough allocations. Okay. And what that means is you might have a child who's growing up in Southend. They need to be housed somewhere and they get, housed in Barnet. That happens all of the time. So although contacting your borough isn't the foolproof route, it's a great route. Okay, so you contact your borough and you basically ask your borough for the list of supported living providers in the particular borough that they're aware of, and they can give you a list of those. And again, each borough you contact can give you a list. So again, you don't have to go to your specific borough. If you're based in Croydon, you don't have to go to the borough of Croydon. You can be based in Croydon and go to the borough of Tower Hamlets because you just want children candidates from that area, or you want companies that are based in that area. Let us know in the chat, Yogesh, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, with regards to your answer to that question. All right, so Rex says in the comments, okay, here is the HMO question. They are surprised that in 2020 developers were creating HMOs without communal space. Moving forward in 2021, how much communal space should one have in London? Okay, so your question was Red Rex. Thank you for throwing it back out again, because what you've done when you've thrown it out again is you've clarified it, which is extremely important. And I did answer it, but I'll give you the summary so you can watch the replay later to get what I really went into. But the summary is this. What I was basically sharing in response to your question was most of the time the government is slower than a community to react/respond to living arrangements. So what I was basically breaking down earlier on when I answered your question was what would generally tend to happen is communities will change how they live. So for example, like I mentioned earlier, more communities looking for more communal space. And then after the demand for communal space becomes high, the government will then, or the council, the borough, etc., will then implement legislation to kind of marry with that. So for example, one of the things you would have seen in 2018, there was a massive change in the HMO legislation. Why was that? That was because over the last 10 years prior to that, from 2008 onwards, there was much more awareness, much more news, much more notoriety around the fact that people were using HMOs. Previously, in the early 2000s, in the 1990s, HMOs were just classified as bedsit rooms for people who were on job seekers allowance and couldn't afford anything bigger. Now, the HMO market is completely different. HMOs now are for professionals. HMO now are for people who can't afford something bigger. But HMOs are for so many other range of people. There are students now who live in HMO. So because now HMOs are not pigeonholed to one particular consideration, and again, it's not to say they always were, but it's just to give you an idea. But because the information, the knowledge, the awareness has been built up around the fact that HMOs aren't just for this group of people, what generally tends to happen is that the legislative changes come in tandem. So that's a quick summary of what I was breaking down about your question. Now, the last part of your question wasn't clear to me previously, but I'll touch on this a little bit. You asked the question, how much communal space should one have in London? My opinion is you should definitely have enough space for someone, and we're talking about a room, okay? Because obviously I specialize in HMOs. We're talking about a room specifically. A room for an individual should definitely have enough space for them to sleep, okay? And also for them to work, okay? And this is the word I'm going to now start adding on so people understand what I'm talking about. For them to work comfortably, okay? One of the biggest mistakes we've made is people have taken HMOs and said, oh, there's a desk in there. We can fit a bed, a wardrobe, a chest of drawers, and a desk. So therefore, it's big enough for them to work there. Guys, I would say for a student, maybe. But nowadays, let me give you an example. If you are an entry-level trader, Okay, you're working in the city of London. You've been asked to work from home. You're an entry-level trader. 9 times out of 10, one of the things I mentioned on last week's episode, which I'm going to share now, which is powerful, I was with a IT professional, the director of an IT firm who are based in central London. And one of the things they were telling me is that many of the high-rise buildings in central London right now, as you drive past or walk past them, they have foyers full of furniture, foyers full of whiteboards, chairs, tables, all of the furniture, because you've got small businesses who rent a floor or rent a section of that particular high rise, and they don't want to pay their rent anymore. And the only way they can stop paying their rent is if they get their furniture out, if they clear the space out. So what these businesses are doing are clearing their space out as quick as possible, and the overspill of stuff is getting left in the foyer. Why? Because they don't pay for the foyer, all right? Now, why is this relevant to what we're talking about? The reason it's relevant is this. If I'm an employee of a company that's doing that right now, that company is going to tell me the day the fire sale's on, all right? And it's not a fire sale, but the day that they're disbanding the office. And the reason they're going to tell me is because they're going to say, look, Samuel, today we shut down our Pimlico office. Go get whatever you need from your desk. Go get whatever you need from the office. If you need a second monitor, they'll be there available, etc., etc. Because after today, we don't know if the stuff's going to be there. So this is the reason why I'm sharing this stuff with you guys, because I want you to understand an entry-level trader who's working in central London might live in a HMO room. And in their HMO room, they're going to need a desk where they can fit 2 screens, okay, plus the computer, plus some working space, in order for them to write, take notes, whatever they're doing. So the point I'm making is the word comfortably is my new keyword, okay? So you need enough space in your HMO rooms for the person to sleep and for them to work comfortably. That would be my new kind of requirement benchmark for people in HMO rooms. And in terms of communal space, again, we're talking about minimum the national guidelines, and then let alone what you can do to make it comfortable. All right, Rex says break it down. All right, and this is relating to something I was talking about earlier, but Rex also goes on to say, don't get yourself in trouble, Samuel. All right, listen, this is the great thing, Rex, about being your own boss. You can't get yourself in trouble unless you're unhappy about something you decided to say. So I won't be getting myself in trouble, but I will be breaking it down. Now, this is how I basically break it down to people for them to understand, okay? In the world of education, and this is not just property, this is anything. In the world of education, there are 3 fulcrums, okay? There is mentoring, there is coaching, there is teaching, okay? Let me know in the chat if you heard what I just said. There is mentoring, there's coaching, there's teaching. What are the 3 fulcrums in the world of education? Now, the moment you understand those 3 fulcrums in the world of education, you very quickly, and again, guys, let me say this before I even go deeper. If you are getting value from this content, hit like, press subscribe, share this video, okay? Press share, let other people see the value that we are actually sharing and digging into with tonight's content, all right? Hit like, press subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, if you're not part of our community, and side by side with that, feel free to share this content with other people who can find value. So, in the world of education, and again, I know this. How do I know this? I know this because I'm a master teacher, okay? And I'm not a master teacher because I just call myself that. I'm a master teacher because I'm actually a qualified teacher. I have a master's in teaching, okay? Now, in the world of education, there are generally 3 different camps, especially in professional education. The first one is coaching. The second one is teaching. The third one is mentoring. Now, what we find in this world is many people think they're getting mentored when they pay a lot of money to go on a training program. And what is worse about that is many big training programs. When I say big, I don't mean they're massive training programs. I just mean they've got big ticket training programs, i.e. they cost a lot of money, 15, 20K, etc. What happens with many of these training programs is they, in my opinion, okay, this is my opinion, they falsely advertise that they are going to mentor you, okay? They falsely advertise that they will be mentoring. Now, let me break this down. There is a difference. I'm going to say it again. There's a difference between coaching, between teaching, and between mentoring. There is a difference between the 3 of them. And this is why this is so important, what I'm talking about, all right? So coaching, teaching, and mentoring are 3 different things, all right? Now, let me break down to you exactly what they are, as Rex has asked, okay? Teaching. I usually like to start with teaching because teaching is what most people do, even though they tell you that they're mentoring you or they're coaching you, etc. Now, teaching is very similar to what we experienced when we were in school, okay? Now, most of us, when we went to school, especially if you were schooled in the UK, you would have a person who stands at the front with a marker, okay? or markers, okay, with a board, okay, as I have here, and they teach you, okay? They tell you how it goes, okay? Now, 9 times out of 10, when people do teach, they teach with their own experience. They might teach with their own stories. They might just teach from a textbook, okay? They can teach any way, shape, or form. But the point is they are teaching. They are on a board telling you rhetoric or theory, okay? So that's teaching, okay? And this is very important. The reason it's important is because you need to ask yourself as well, how many of your economics teachers were actually active in the world of economics, okay? Or how many of your science teachers were actually active in the world of biology, chemistry, physics, etc.? And the answer is the moment you start asking yourself that question, you start realizing not many, okay? Because teaching a lot of the time doesn't actually, it doesn't marry or pertain to practical knowledge or practical experience. And this is something you have to be careful of, because a lot of people will chase people that are only going to teach them, okay? And what you have to understand is, if you understand that that's teaching, you may not chase that. You may say, well, I'd pay for teaching because I need someone to teach me this, but I'm not going to pay a mentoring price point for a teaching program, okay? And this is something I want you guys to really understand, because a lot of people are doing that in the country, in the world. They're paying mentoring prices for teaching programs, okay? And this is something to be mindful of. So that's teaching. The second one, let's go on to mentoring, because I've just mentioned it. The second one's mentoring. Now, with mentoring is something that very, very rarely happens, okay? People think it's happening every day. In a way it is, but it very rarely happens, okay? But let me break mentoring down for you. Mentoring is where someone says, look, hey, Rex, I'm going to be picking you up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We got 4 meetings with estate agents back to back. Straight after our meetings with estate agents, we're then going to go and meet one of our brand new prospective investors. After the investor meeting, I've got 6 viewings of, direct landlords that we're going to be seeing their houses. And then after that, I'll be dropping you off around 9:30 p.m. So dress smart casual, okay? That kind of experience happening 3 times, 4 times, a week. That's when we're talking about mentoring. That's mentoring. Mentoring is when you are taken on the journey. You're following someone else's journey physically, okay? And because you're following their journey, really, through osmosis, you'll pick up how they negotiate. You'll pick up how they run their business. You'll pick up all of those things, okay? And again, I'm not saying any is better than any other. What I'm saying is everyone has their place. The problem I have with the property education space is many of these are missold as the other. So some people might jump on a coaching program thinking they're going to be mentored, realize they're not getting mentored, and then they're unhappy and they want their money back, or they have some problem with that. Or some people might jump on a teaching program thinking they're getting mentored and pay the mentoring fee when really they're only getting teaching, and then they lose sight or hope of their property goals. And this is the one thing I really dislike. I dislike when people get disillusioned with what's possible and what's appropriate for them in property because they made a mistake like what I'm talking about. So teaching's first, mentoring second. Now with mentoring, I will say this, okay? Very rarely do people get mentored for figures like 20,000, 30,000, okay? I'm just being transparent, okay? If someone who makes, and I'll give an example, if you do a deal this year for 100k, where you add £100,000 to your net worth, okay, one deal, and you potentially, would do 6 or 7 of those deals in a year, then you tell me if you're going to charge someone £20,000 to mentor them for a year. The answer is no way. If one of the deals out of 7 you're intending to do that year is going to bring 100 grand to your net worth, I'm telling you, I can guarantee you, you're probably going to be charging 100 grand to mentor a person, okay? And that's just the way it is, because it's not going to be worth your time otherwise, all right? And this is one of the ways I actually am able to benchmark who's actually really mentoring out here. I look at price tags. When I see someone charging 20, 30,000, I know that's not sustainable for you to mentor me unless you're not really doing much, okay? So again, mentoring, second one, teaching, mentoring. Last one, coaching. Are you ready? All right, let me know in the chat if you're ready. And if you're getting value from this, let me know that there's value here. All right, let me know that there's value here. I'm gonna keep going, but yeah, guys, let me just see the word value if you are getting value from this breakdown. All right, now the last one is coaching. All right, and coaching is effectively what we do in our business, which is one of the reasons why I'm very acquainted with the ideology and the concept of coaching. Coaching is something a number of people have done for me over the years in my life in different fields, specifically in my educational journey, as a teacher, in my educational journey as a business owner, and also in terms of my property business. I've had coaches for a number of years, okay? Now, coaching is completely different. Coaching, again, just think of any football team. The coach doesn't necessarily have to get on the pitch. Okay, that rarely happens. The coach doesn't necessarily get on the pitch. Now, the coach is probably a very experienced player. What does that mean? The coach plays. The coach knows how to play. The coach was probably a professional at some time. The coach is probably more winding down from playing or has stopped playing, but now is here to support the new players that are playing in their prime, okay? And what a coach does in that experience is a coach utilizes the skills that they have, whether it's through means of communication, whether it be through means of opportunities, whether it be through means of connection and network, where they utilize those skills in order to create better players every single time. So coaching is completely different. Coaching is about using a set of skills that you have in order to enhance those people you are working with. So Rex, hopefully that helps you in terms of a breakdown. Let us know, Rex, just like everyone else, in the comments. 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. How do you rate the answer you got to your question? And we will keep going forward. KTR, thank you for the compliment. KTR says in the comments, Samuel is a must-have coach, one of the best investments I made in my life. Smiley face, totally worth it. KTR, we appreciate you, as we do every single one of our subscribers who subscribe absolutely for free, as we also do every single one of our coaching clients who have ever worked with us in the past, who currently work with us and will be working with us in the future, as well as every other student, coachee, whatever it is that we work with. Guys, we love all the people we work with. This is why we have a very serious approach to working with people, and we ask people to apply a lot of the time to work with us because we want to make sure they're a good fit for us and vice versa. Now, Rex says in a HMO, I think that it means if a HMO is 12 to 15 meter squared kitchen diner sufficient. Okay, in a HMO, is a 12 to 15 meter squared kitchen diner sufficient in terms of communal space? What other things can you do or implement in 2021 in order to keep you ahead of the HMO post-COVID? That's a powerful question, Rex. What I'm going to answer with two answers. The first one specifically about your first question, 12 to 15 meter squared kitchen. Check with the borough where you're doing the HMO, the rent to rent, whatever project you're doing. Check with that specific location, that borough, that council, that city. Reason being is every city has its own guidelines, and then there are national guidelines. The national guidelines have to be kept by every city, but every city also has its own guidelines on top. So that's the first thing. Second thing, what other things can you do to keep yourself ahead of the curve? There was an episode, I can't remember what episode it is now. I'm going to put it in the description of this video, so that will probably be in the description by tomorrow. One of our previous episodes of these live shows, we had Timmy, who again is one of our coaching clients, Timmy, who called in with a specific question. And one of the things I broke down for him was how he specifically could do that. He was converting a HMO from an ex-student HMO into a professional HMO. And I gave him some ideas which are very, very current in the COVID market. So I'll get that for you, Rex. Rex, just check the replay of this video tomorrow and you'll see that in the chat. All right, let's just see if there's any few other questions. Which specific department in the council? Okay, Yoga says he's tried and got the runaround when trying to engage with councils. Yogesh, the department you want to speak to, again, obviously every council has different department names, but you want to talk to the social housing department, okay? Social housing department, or the early stage care department. I think it's called early stage care. That's generally the kind of name it's going to have. So if you go through early stage care, you're looking at young people who are being housed. So again, that should get you your 16 to 19, 16 to 24 year olds, and thus obviously the companies that work with them, or that's early stage care, or you want to go through the social housing specific department. Hopefully that will help you. Yogesh, connect with me regarding the housing contact to rent your property to. All right, so KTR has a connection there. KTR and Yogesh make that connection. Again, this is the second time the two of you are seeing some kind of cross connection, so make that happen. Okay, so KTR, Yogesh says, what's the best way to connect? Or because he's on Facebook. Also, Yogesh and KTR, I believe you're both in our Facebook group, the Impact Investing Facebook group. So just throw a comment, a real comment in the Facebook group and just connect there. That will help you. All right. Rex says, I heard that. Yogesh says mentoring, coaching and teaching. Thank you, Yogesh. You were listening. Ranjit says teaching, mentoring, coaching. Well explained. Like it. Great content. Thank you ever so much, Ranjit. This is what we do. We're here for the community and we want to help people move forward. I've got value in the comments by Rex. Thank you ever so much. We got Rex who says liked and subscribed. Love that. Guys, it's great to have you guys on, and it's great to give you guys the value that I know we need in our community. All right, so I'm going to take Yogesh's question. And then we look at wrapping out. Yogesh says, so what is fair price for mentoring and coaching, please, for someone who is really good? All right, that is a great question. And, you know, obviously you're going to have everybody pricing things their own way. One of the things you need to think about if you're an individual looking at going into coaching or going into mentoring, you have to ask yourself, what value are you hoping to derive from this? I'll give you an example. In 2015, I believe it was 2015, I decided to go on the Simon Zucci Property Mastermind program. At the time, that course cost £18,000 plus VAT, so roughly £20,000. Now, when I went on that course, apologies, mistake. The course cost £16,000 plus VAT at the time I went on the course, which I think worked out to roughly around £18,000. I think that's a better calculation. I can't remember now, but the invoice is somewhere. Now, the reason I bring that up is this. My question to myself was this: will I get £20,000 worth of tangible value from the program? Okay, ask yourself that question. Will I get £20,000 worth of tangible value from the program? Now, I'm even going to throw this out there, okay? Because I coach people. I've never been asked this, but I'm going to throw this out there to you to potentially ask the coach or ask the organization that you're thinking of coaching with. Ask them, how do they see you getting that amount of value out of the coaching experience? Okay, because I think that's a powerful question. Okay, I think that is an extremely powerful question. How do you see me getting X amount, whatever they've told you is the price tag of value out of this program? Okay, that's one thing I would advise you to actually ask. Okay, most people don't ask questions like that, but it's a question that needs to be asked. Okay. Now, when I jumped on Simon Zucci's Property Mastermind program, I said to myself, if I'm able to do one deal which nets me 20K in that 12 months, then I've made my money back and the course was worth it. It doesn't matter what they teach, doesn't matter what content I get, doesn't matter if I learn something or don't learn something. Why? Because I've put 20K in and I'm happy to get that 20K back out in 12 months with no interest financially. Okay, I hope you understand the rationale I use to jump on that program. Now check this out, okay? During that program, this is one deal. I'm going to talk about one deal I did on that program. I was able to buy a house for £100,000 less than the market value of that property. Okay. So if you can do maths, if you're like me, if you like numbers, that's roughly five times what I paid for the actual program. I got back in equity on the deal. Now, would I have done that deal without the program? Maybe. I probably could have still done that deal without the program. But the point is, I was on the program when I did the deal. I do know that the program had a significant impact in me making sure I did that deal that year rather than letting that deal drag for another year or another 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. So the point I'm making is, for me, that program was well worth it for me because I knew how I could tangibly work out whether it would be worth it for me. And let me go back to the point. If you're thinking about going on a coaching program, a good question to ask the organization or the individual is, how can you quantify that I'll get this value of this amount out of this project? Okay. And they'll tell you, hopefully they'll know that. The next thing is this: what is a fair price, in my opinion? Okay. In my opinion, I think a fair price is based on your value of the information, the support you're going to get. So what do I mean by that? I'll break it down. My first ever master's I studied, okay, I did a master's in statistics at the University College London, UCL. That was the first master's I ever studied. The course cost roughly £5,998. It's around £6,000 to go on that course. That's a full-time master's in statistics, okay? Guys, let me say this to you. That particular program I did, in my opinion, it was a great learning experience, great to be at UCL, great to connect with the lecturers, the quality of lecturers, resources, people that I met there. I met people there that I'm so grateful I met in my lifetime. I'm just being honest with you. But the point I'm making is on a financial level, I don't feel as though I became £6,000 more valuable by going on that program. Okay, on an intrinsic level, humanistic level, relational level, experiential level, yes, but not financial level. Okay, and I'm just sharing this for you guys to see some of the ways I think about this stuff. Now, if I now ask myself tomorrow about working with a coach for $6,000 for 12 months, okay, and I say to myself, I'm probably going to get more out of this financially than I got out of my master's in statistics for 12 months. Guys, I'm on the program. Like, I'm just putting it that way simply. I'm on the program. I've already written the check. I've already transferred the funds. I'm on the program. And this is one of the problems that we have in our society, okay? We will go and do conventional education, pay exorbitant amounts of money for conventional education, and not even compare the cost per cost ratio with non-conventional education, which could radically, rapidly change our financial situation, change our lives, put us in a better place in our head or in our wealth, in our health, whatever it is. Okay, so guys, this ain't just about money, this ain't just about property, it's about anything. It's about spirituality, it's about wealth, it's about health, it's about whatever's important to you. But the point is, if you are valuing a 3-year degree at $3,000 a year, which works out to be £9,000, or current, if you want to go by the current prices, £9,000 a year, 3-year degree, we're talking about £27,000. Okay, then you want to liken that to a master's, £9,000 a year. Add that on top of your degree. That's a 4-year program now. Now you're in the £36,000 mark, and you know, have you got the promise of a job? Not necessarily. All right, so guys, I just want to throw that out to you just so you get an idea of exactly what I'm talking about. Yogesh says, thank you so much, 10 stars. Most welcome, Yogesh. This is what we do, and this is why we do it. So guys, look, just before I leave, let me remind you again, we have this key resource absolutely free for you, the 7 best books for your property investing success. You can go and get that at www.impactproperties.co.uk/book list. impactproperties.co.uk/book list. Now guys, if you've got value from tonight's show, just write the word value in the comments. Let us know that you have got value from tonight's show. Side by side with all of that, what I want to advise you and encourage you to do, if you haven't already, go and watch this video right here. What comes first, property deals or property investors? What do you need? Do you need the deals or do you need the investors? This video is going to really help you. Side by side with that, it's not on the card here, but there's a video we released 2 weeks ago. This video is really helpful for anybody who really wants to learn how to navigate in property. It's called How to Invest in Property. Very short video, less than 15 minutes. Go and watch that video, How to Invest in Property. And last but not least, go watch one of our previous live streams, and hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of our community and know every single time we are dropping new content, and you'll be able to share it with other people in the community. Without further ado, I'm Samuel I Can Win. It's been a great pleasure sharing all of this value and content with you guys. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Let us know if you want the if you want the, what did we call it? We called it Boxing Day show. Let us know if you want the Boxing Day show, and I'll see you next week on the next one. Happy investing.